I don't have to, this is the first time I'm at a conference where I don't have to modify my presentation. Usually I'm walking up to the stage and modifying
Doing the modifying.
Inaugural session of the International Conference on Resilience, ICR 2026 at Navrachna University. It is our honor and privilege to extend a very warm welcome to all our distinguished speakers and esteemed guests for the International Conference on Resilience. We are deeply honored by the presence of Srimati Tejal Amin, Chairperson, Navrachna Education Society and Board of Management, Navrachna University, Professor Dr. Brian B. Rudkin, Research Director at the University of Lyon, France, Padma Shri Dr. Shailesh Nayak, Director, National Institute of Advanced Studies, Bangalore, Mr. Sandeep Virmani, Environmentalist and Executive Vice Chairman at the Hunar Shala Foundation, Dr. Philippe Maureen, Scientific and Higher Education Attaché in the French Embassy, Professor Philips Nicholas Gascoigne, Deputy Counselor for Cooperation and Cultural Affairs at the French Embassy in Delhi, members of the Board of Governors and Board of Management, Provost Professor Pratyush Shankar, Professor Emeritus Dr. A.V. Ramchandran, Registrar Professor Sandeep Vasant, Conference Convener Dr. Darshi Bakshi, and our title sponsor, Mr. Arjun Desai and Mr. Vishal Desai from Desai Enterprise. We warmly welcome all our esteemed guests, international delegates, faculty members, paper presenters, and dear students to this global academic gathering. Resilience is not merely the ability to survive adversity. It is the strength to adapt, rebuild, and emerge stronger. In today's rapidly transforming global landscape, resilience has become central to governance, institutions, communities, and individuals alike. ICR 2026 provides a platform to deliberate, reflect, and reimagine resilience across climate change and sustainability, public health systems, law and governance, urban and rural development, technological innovation, and social equity. With your kind permission, we now proceed with the inaugural ceremony. To formally welcome our distinguished gathering, I now invite the conference chairs of ICR 2026, Professor Pratyush Shankar, Provost, Navrachna University, and Professor Dr. A.V. Ramachandran, Professor Emeritus and Mentor at School of Science. It is my privilege to introduce the Provost of Navrachna University, Professor Pratyush Shankar. He is the Dean of School of Environmental Design and Architecture, a widely published author. His notable works include History of Urban Forms, India, by Oxford University Press. Internationally, he contributes as a guest professor at TU Darmstadt, Germany, and has held the Alexander von Humboldt Fellowship and the creative director role for the Humboldt Residency Program in Berlin. He is the founder of City Labs India, a research and advocacy platform focused on urban issues, and served on Niti Aayog's expert committee on the Hill architecture. Through his academic, design, and advisory work, Professor Shankar continues to shape architectural education, urban research, and conservation in India and beyond. I am also privileged to introduce Professor A.V. Ramchandran, Professor Emeritus and Mentor at School of Science. Professor Ramchandran has 40 years of vast experience in teaching and research. His extensive teaching involvement covers various branches of life science like cell biology, molecular biology, and microbial genetics. He has published more than 250 research papers in recognized peer-reviewed journals. I invite Professor Pratyush Shankar and Professor A.V. Ramchandran to deliver the welcome address.
Please stand together. Thank you, Chandrika. Good morning, everyone. Dear distinguished keynote speakers and plenary speakers, our chairperson, Srimati Tejalben Amin, members of the board, our registrar, paper presenters, faculty members, students. A very warm welcome to the International Conference on Resilience 2026. To give a context to this conference, the seed for this was laid 2 years back, 2024, when during the monsoon season, our city of Baroda witnessed an unprecedented flood. Practically half, maybe more, of the city was underwater. After the floods, the usual blame game started. The government organs were blaming each other, the media was blaming government was asking for better institutional support, and that it was at that very moment we at the university asked ourselves a very fundamental question. Can we as a university play a more proactive role in understanding and finding solution to the questions of adaptation and climate change? In fact, I would like to use the word climate emergency rather than climate change anymore. Can we not in the university create new knowledge that can support local government to take more informed decisions? Should we not sensitize and train our students and faculty members to the larger questions of resilience? And should we not create a new body of work that can help us realize the true promise and potential of a university, which is to create new knowledge for a better future? So in some sense, it was a natural disaster, maybe a human-induced natural disaster, that became an opportunity for a churning that happened within this university. With this intention as a first step, we dedicated the Khoj Winter School 2024, I'll talk about Khoj, and we titled it Urban and Rural Resilience. Around 40 projects involving more than 700 students and 50-60 odd faculty members looked at the questions of resilience in and around the city of Baroda. For those of you who do not know about Khoj, Khoj Winter School is a social immersion program where every graduating student engages in a project that demands fieldwork, that demands going to the site, and they look at problems that are of societal relevance. In fact, today evening, we will be inaugurating the new Khoj. Since Khoj Winter School 2024, many of our own students and faculty members have undertaken various research projects on resilience, and this conference in some sense is a logical conclusion of work that we have done. By inviting scholars and practitioners from around the world to share their work, we wish to learn from all of you, and together use this opportunity to discuss, understand, and create networks and collaboration for future projects. In fact, we already started networking, extensive, aggressive networking with our keynotes since yesterday. Now, the other aspects of the conference which I'm extremely excited about. This is one conference where each and every school and all its department of the universities are involved, because the question of resilience lies between schools, between silos as we like to call it. And it is through sheer hard work of the conference committee under the convenership of Dr. Darshi Bakshi and her colleagues that we got almost 170 abstracts for the conference from around the world. This is no mean achievement. They also managed to star-studded lineup of keynotes, some of them are here, and plenary speakers who have traveled far to be with us. The presence of such eminent keynote speakers have surely attracted, may mob them, and use this time to network. I also take this opportunity to thank and congratulate the conference committee and their team of student volunteers for doing such a terrific job. A big round of applause for them. And I'm very sure, 100% confident that this conference will not only be productive, but it could prove to be a watershed moment in the history of Navrachna University, fast-tracking and accelerating pertinent research and initiatives in the dome of resilience, climate change, and urban development. I again welcome you all in this very important conference. And before I end, I just wish to personally express my gratitude to our chairperson, Srimati Tejalben Amin, who has always encouraged creativity and innovation in this university. So whenever we would go with an idea, to have the Khoj Resilience was one such idea, the first answer would always be a yes. Let's try, let's do it. And I think sometimes we forget to acknowledge that, but I think you have created the right nurturing environment where all these things eventually become possible. She is so invested in the idea of Khoj Winter School that both of us end up discussing, debating and fighting about what Khoj should be or could be. This discussion and fight starts in the winter month, goes in the spring, autumn, monsoon and summer. So all the year round, Tejalben has been talking about Khoj. So much so that he has now totally consumed her talk time on Khoj, and so she is not speaking today. But thank you, Tejalben, for creating the right environment. Thank you so much. And now if I may ask our mentor, Dr. Ramchandra sir. Now it's very important, I told him that you have to be with me. And I must thank him for, I'm amazed by the infinite network that you have. He has managed to get anyone we want in the country and abroad. And thanks for making use of your network for the university and for mentoring all of us. So you're not only the mentor for School of Science, but you're the mentor for the university, Dr. Ramchandran. So thank you so much and have a great conference.
Thank you, Professor Pratyush, and good morning to all. Esteemed keynote and plenary speakers, delegates, Chairperson Srimati Tejal Amin, members of the Board of Management and Governance, colleagues and friends. It is a privilege for me to welcome you all to the National Conference on Resilience. Resilience is often defined as bouncing back or recovery. But today, I invite you to think of resilience in a deep, less discussed way. What if resilience is not merely a response to crisis, but a built-in design or program of the universe itself? What resilience is? Resilience is, what if resilience not, or if resilience is a universal design, then what you can see is, across the cosmos, stability is rare, change, disturbance, fluctuation are the norms, stars collapse to create heavier elements, ecosystems burn to regenerate, cells accumulate damage, yet repair mechanisms are activated. This suggests something very profound. The universe does not avoid disturbance, but anticipates it. The universe, it anticipates it, and the systems are not designed for permanence, but for continuity through transformation. Resilience, therefore, may not be accidental, but it may be encoded into the fabric of reality across galaxies to genomes. Talking of natural resilience, it is something that exists without our permission. Nature's resilience is procedural. It values diversity over optimization and redundancy over efficiency. While human institutions promises speed and scale, nature reminds us that the most resilient systems are those which are most adaptive. Talking of human resilience, humans carry two forms of resilience: inherited resilience, as marked by stress responses, neural plasticity, immune memory, etc., which all evolved for survival under uncertainty, not for comfort. But here lies the paradox. Our biology evolved for episodic stress and not for chronic overload, digital saturation, ecological anxiety, and social fragmentation. Therefore, we must cultivate developed or adaptive resilience. as marked by cognitive resilience to tolerate ambiguity, social resilience through trust and shared meaning, institutional resilience through flexibility over rigidity, ecological resilience through knowing when not to intervene. This is not resilience of toughness, but resilience of intelligence. One of the overlooked dimensions of resilience is the necessity for pauses or gap phases. This is an aspect that is rarely discussed, and resilience essentially depends on recovery spaces. In biology, repair happens during rest. In ecosystems, regeneration follows fallow periods. In humans, insight arises in silence, not constant stimulation. A system denied pause will eventually fail, no matter how resistant or resilient it once was. Resilience is not only about endurance, it is about knowing when to slow down, stop, or let go. So why are we here? Today, crises are coupled and failures spread fast. Resilience can no longer be sector-specific. It must be transdisciplinary and anticipatory. This conference is about designing systems that don't just survive shocks, but mature through them. As a closing thought, let me say that fragility breaks under pressure, robustness resists it, and resilience learns from it. May these 2 days move us from reaction to reflection and from repair to redesign. I warmly welcome you all and wish the conference every success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Light represents knowledge, wisdom, and prosperity. Just as light dispels darkness, knowledge enlightens minds and guides us towards progress. To invoke the blessings of Goddess Saraswati, the embodiment of learning and wisdom, we request the dignitaries to kindly come forward for the lighting of the lamp. I also request Mr. Arjun Desai and Mr. Vishal Desai to join the dignitaries, please. Thank you. It is now my privilege to introduce the conference convener of ICR 2026, Dr. Darshi Bakshi. Dr. Bakshi is the Associate Dean and Program Chair of School of Science at Navratna University. with academic expertise in endocrinology, cancer biology, and molecular medicine. She brings over a decade of experience in teaching, research, and interdisciplinary academic leadership, and has been actively involved in institutional development and collaborative research initiatives at Navratna University. To introduce the vision, objectives, and thematic focus of ICR 2026, I invite Dr. Darshi Bakshi to address the gathering.
Thank you. Greetings to all distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, respected speakers, and delegates. Over the next 2 days, we gather not just as academics, practitioners, and policymakers, but as global community united by the shared purpose to reimagine resilience and to chart pathways for future that is stronger, smarter, and more inclusive. We live in an era defined by uncertainty, climate emergencies, economic fluctuations, health crisis, digital disruptions, migration challenges, and socio-political polarities, which remind us daily that resilience is no longer a luxury, but it's a necessity now. Resilience, as we envision here, is not merely about survival or recovery. It is about strategic adaptability, as Ramchandran sir already mentioned, about transforming disruptions into opportunities for structural improvement and systemic innovation. This conference embodies that vision, anchored in Navratna University's COACH initiative on urban and rural resilience. ICR 2026 is deeply interdisciplinary, reflecting the ethos of our institution. Across our 5 schools, environmental architecture and design, business and law, liberal studies and education, engineering and technology and science, we embrace collaboration as the foundation for innovation. This conference has 5 major themes that will guide our deliberations. Environmental resilience, which explores sustainable technologies, climate adaptation, water resource management, resilient agriculture, and biodiversity protection. Economic resilience, that addresses inclusive growth, fiscal sustainability, entrepreneurship, role of SMEs and startups in building robust economies. Societal resilience, which includes strengthening mental health, community cohesion, and organizational adaptability in the face of adversity. Urban planning, urban design, and landscape, wherein the focus is on reimagining cities through nature-based planning, disaster mitigation, smart mobility, and innovative architectural design. Information and digital resilience, which includes building secure, inclusive digital ecosystems, and I think we have been discussing about this since yesterday, ensuring data integrity, combating misinformation, and preparing a future-ready workforce. Together, these themes remind us that resilience is not confined to one discipline or sector. It is a systemic pursuit requiring the interplay of social, technical, environmental, and economic forces. It asks us to embed resilience into the very fabric of our societies so that we do not merely withstand shocks, but emerge stronger and more inclusive. Resilience is ultimately about people. It is about empowering communities, safeguarding ecosystems, and nurturing innovation. It is about ensuring that future we build is not only sustainable, but also equitable. The making of this conference is an equal example of interdisciplinary interactions that have taken place in the last few months since the inception of the thought of this important conference, which started in May 2025. It is a collective representation of all schools of NUV and has been a stage for some very interesting peer learning as well. ICR 2026 allowed us to learn from each other. If I give my own example here, we have conducted several conferences which have been in our own domain. So true, but when it comes to ICR 2026, I learned so much from my colleagues, so much from everyone around me. When we got together for ICR 2026, we learned and exchanged perspectives that otherwise would never have been a possibility. And I thank Professor Pratyush Shankar for giving this opportunity to me, that we could get together and work upon the ICR 2026. The way a faculty of design and architecture would foresee a particular aspect was very different from the way we would have done as scientists. And the same applies to other disciplines who have cross-talked throughout the making of this conference. And I think this is the essence which we take as faculties at the end of ICR 2026. This conference has been the central dogma because I'm a biologist at the end, but central agenda of the Dean's Forum, and inputs from all schools have strengthened its outcome. I take this opportunity to thus thank all the deans and heads of the school, Professor Pragya Shankar, Professor Shalini Amin, Dr. Ankita Sharma, Dr. Priyanka Bairani, Professor Advaita Jalan, Dr. Saloni Pandya, Dr. Jigar Shah, Dr. Anupama Dave, Dr. Divya Patnagar, our admin team members, Dhairya Vaidya, Dhairya Sheth, Ms. Shilpa Thakre, Kalpesh Bhai, Ritesh Bhai, Chirag Darji and IT team, Mr. Kiran Ruparia and his team, and all of them have had a backing of volunteers and other faculties alongside them. I may not be able to give all the names here, but I take this opportunity to thank each faculty and staff member of the university who has made ICR 2026 a possibility. Most importantly, I would like to thank Professor Pratyush Shankar, Professor Sandeep Vasant, and Professor A.V. Ramchandran sir, who has allowed us to work together, and definitely nothing without Tejal ma'am, your support. So we are here in front of you along with a 2-day rich schedule of keynote speakers and all the speakers whom I would like to once again thank for being here with us, because without the enriched inputs from all of you, this conference would not have been possible. Now I take a moment to move forward from here, and it would be my privilege and honor to introduce our keynote speaker for the session. We have been discussing a lot with Dr. Bryan since yesterday, and I think it's my real honor to introduce you today, sir. Dr. Bryan is currently the Director of Research Emeritus at CNRS University of Lyon and Stem Cell and Brain Research Center. Dr. Rutkin has earned his PhD from University of Pennsylvania in cellular and molecular neuroscience, focusing on molecular mechanisms of cell signaling and regeneration. His academic journey spans Europe and collaborations in Asia, particularly with East China Normal University, Shanghai. We heard a lot about that yesterday from you, sir. He co-founded the Joint Laboratory on Neuropathogenesis in 2009 with Professor Chongan in ECNU, later integrated into the key laboratory at Brain Functional Genomics in 2014. Dr. Bryan has instigated and coordinated EU projects and catalyzed innovation in the Rhone-Alpes region and beyond for several decades. Since 2021, he has worked with the One Sustainable Health for All Foundation, helping consolidate and communicate recommendations from over 100 experts across 35 different countries through the OSH Forum and OEGH Coalition. He now leads discussions on creating a world network for One Sustainable Health Institutes. The foundation is the official civil society partner of the French Presidential World Summit on One Health, which is to be held in Lyon on 7th April 2026. With this, I welcome you, sir, to address the gathering with your keynote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I am humbled, honored
Is that better? If I have a microphone, I have a tendency of singing, so I have to be careful. I am honored to be here, honestly. I will not go through the list of all the people to thank, but please, all of you, thank you for being here. Thank you for organizing this. It's excellent. I believe one should say namaste, but I'm not sure. In French, it's bonjour, and in English, hello. At that, I would like to, what happened? Oh, the usual, technical issues. How many of you use Zoom or Teams? And you, oh yes, of course, nobody raised their hands except in the front row, right? But always, something goes wrong. Oh, I can use one, if you wish. I'm not going to be moving. It's okay?
Extend it as you requested.
Yes?
So you can.
I can go ahead.
It's extended, so you need to open the PPT and then
Okay.
yeah, the way that you asked me to.
Okay, normally this is over here.
Yes.
So, hang on. This is supposed to be interesting.
Yes, that's the one. So you,
Okay.
if you can change it.
So,
One second.
whoops. Is that me? Yes, we're good? Excellent. So, I am here to share what the foundation is doing. And the two actions of the foundation, the One Sustainable Health, or OSH Forum, and the One Europe for Global Health Coalition. What we do is we listen to, and we mobilize civil society in Europe and beyond. You cannot have healthy life, plant, animal, or human, on a sick planet. That's our motivation. I did not coin this phrase. It comes from many years ago, and several people use it in different forms, but keep this concept in mind. Oh, I have to go closer? Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I coined this phrase. I'm also, as you heard, a biologist, and there was something that I found was particularly interesting. It was the microbiota, i.e., you think of the gut microorganisms. You may have heard the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Not quite. It's through the microorganisms in his stomach that generate serotonin that goes up into the brain and makes you feel happy. That's for those who like to cook. I'm sure it works also for men cooking for women. But in the concept of One Health, you have the health of the planet, the climate, the environment. You have the health of the animals, wild as well as domestic. And you have, of course, the health of the humans. And together, that is One Health. And what I like to say is, what we try to do is get more humans doing good, stimulating the serotonin, for the whole. That's the purpose of our foundation, to stimulate interest, to generate. Should I get even closer to the microphone? I mean, hello? Very good. So, the idea is to row together in the right direction. Il faut ramer ensemble dans la bonne direction. It's also a question of communication, social and political engagement. Our foundation was created in 2020, just let's say during the COVID crisis that I'm sure you all remember, and trying to come up with a solution to preparedness, pandemic preparedness, as you've always heard, which again we heard was linked to wild animals, zoonosis, and various other things. And we also learned about the urban impact of COVID as compared to the countryside, very different reactions. It was Benoit Miribel, who has been in his life very active in NGOs, He was working first with Bioforce, Bioport, and then he went on to Action contre la faim, Action Against Hunger, and then he became the Secretary General in the Mérieux Foundation, a very strong foundation working around the world to bring healthcare to many different places, enabling people locally to take their lives in hand and do the tests for the presence of different infectious diseases. And he then, when he finished his 12-year stint at the Mérieux Foundation, founded this foundation. In 2021, he created, along with Detlev Ganten and the Geneva Health Forum, the World Health Summit and the Geneva Health Forum, the One Sustainable Health Forum that I will speak about in short. In 2022, we founded the One Europe for Global Health Coalition as a means to invigorate the process in Europe of understanding and implementing One Health. The idea is to increase dialogue and innovative projects between the public and private partners in promotion of sustainable health for all. In other words, our foundation is not an endowed foundation. It's not Wellcome Trust. It's not the Novo Nordisk Foundation. It's not Foundation S of Sanofi. We work solely on the support of partners, people like-minded, giving of their time, some giving resources, money if they have it, but that is how we thrive. And as I say this, I have goosebumps because I know what's coming after this. And when you see the amount of work that has been done through goodwill, it's absolutely incredible. I say this as a neuroscientist. I've worked in molecular and cellular neurobiology all of my career. And so this is something very new to me. I'm totally incompetent in this area, so please keep that in mind. The foundation is a member of the quadripartite on the One Health Partner Program. The quadripartite is the WHO, the World Health Organization, WOA, the animal health, the UNEP, which is the environment, and the last one, the food and agriculture, the FAO. And we are also a member of the steering committee of PRISOD that was in another French initiative for identification of zoonotic diseases worldwide. And Juan Lubroth, our scientific coordinator, is a member of the steering committee. And, as was noted earlier, we are an official partner, one of three, for the Presidential One Health Summit that is taking place in Lyon on the 7th of April, 2026, as the voice of civil society. And what you see here has just been inaugurated, the website, as well as the logo up there, by Anthony Chomouzeau, who is the Secretary General of this event, organized by the French presidency in the context of the planet summits that he has been doing through his presidency to raise awareness about One Health, if I may say. And the video that I'm not going to show you for want of time is President Macron opening our latest event that took place in November and opening the opening remarks announcing for the first time that it would be taking place in Lyon. So we were very, again, humbled by that recognition. So what do we do? Two actions. The One Sustainable Health Forum, the OSH Forum, therefore, and the OEGH, the One Europe for Global Health Coalition. The OSH Forum is essentially the work of initially six international working groups working on different topics that are underlining the One Health approaches. And what you see is our impact on the planet, that's pollution, etc., sustainable agriculture, for example, the global health, the healthcare access,
and governance and finance, as well as local practices. And I say local practices for us was particularly important because it's not somebody in New York or Washington, D.C., who's going to tell somebody in Sri Lanka how to take care of their local problems, because their environment and their resources are not the same. The contrary, however, is indeed possible, because when you have few resources, you are more resourceful and more resilient. And so we had over 80 experts from over 25 different countries, of which 40% were from the Global South. And we generated a document that, after 2 years, consolidated all of their ideas, their recommendations, and that document, I actually have a copy here, and you can get it online and look at it. And we essentially organized the ideas from the different working groups in 4 pillars: public knowledge, finance, data and scientific evidence, and strategy and governance. It was first written in English using HI. Now, that means human intelligence, not artificial intelligence. And I was the consolidator. And I can assure you it was very challenging. Now, you may not have time to read the 100 and something pages of very fine print, but you see, I was at a French, one of the top French academic research institutions as a group leader, and our students are taught to take not an elephant dropping, but a dinosaur dropping of information and condense it into a rabbit dropping of the essence. Now, the rabbit dropping of this is on page 19, and essentially I have consolidated everything here, so if you don't have any time, you can just read that page and you'll have a very good idea. That is what we call the One Sustainable Health Declaration. It has been translated in French and Spanish, and soon into Chinese. Now, I don't know if we need to translate it into Hindi or other languages, but let's say English, I believe people here understand very well. Just to give you an idea of 1 or 2 of the outcomes of all of this, the finance group came, one can save billions, and it's the cost of inaction, really, that is driving us to bring in people from the finance world to understand this. And I will talk about this a little bit later. We now have 10 international working groups, of which the latest that is in the process of being created is One Digital Health, because data is to be able to master and corral all of the parameters that will help us to address these highly complex issues. Experts who are working, and here you see Juan Lubroth in the front on the right it's not a round table, but okay. And these are the chairs of the different international working groups who met for the first time in person back in November at City Hall. So the idea of these recommendations is to mobilize multiple sectors, disciplines, and communities at various levels of society, with equity being the front and center consideration. And what I heard yesterday with regard to making the students work together, bringing these different disciplines together, it was like, did somebody talk to you before I got here? I mean, honestly. No, but it's so important. It is I like to say, not breaking silos. You need the expertise, you need to learn, so you need the competence, but you need also to learn how to listen. And I used to say merging silos, but now that I've met the provost, I'm going to say crossing the T's. Essentially, you need that pillar, but you need to make it that you can communicate. You don't necessarily have to be an expert in the other silo, but you need to be able to communicate and understand what drives them, what motivates them, what keeps them happy. The idea is also to foster well-being. That's one of the facets that is particularly interesting. And we have in one of our working groups, IWG International Working Group 4, someone from Sri Lanka who is a specialist in well-being. And he has a laboratory in Shanghai, at Shanghai University, specially on well-being. Tackling interconnected health and ecosystem challenges, the zoonotic diseases, for example, rabies, for example, to address the collective need for clean water, energy, and air, safe and nutritious food, and acting on climate change, adapting to climate change. On the one hand, yes, but climate change, it's very clear, I'm not going to do any scientific presentation here, is linked directly to human behavior. And I'm not going to talk to you about Johan Rockström, who's coming up with the planetary boundaries and how many of these we've crossed over, and if we do any more, we're going to die. No, that's another presentation. The idea is to contribute to sustainable development, of which the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. So when I took over the OSH Forum and strategic initiatives, I asked myself, well, in these different international working groups, which ones are addressing which of the Sustainable Development Goals? And that's the summary of this work. And actually, we're addressing all of them. We're trying to accelerate or address the achievement of the development goals. Now, we only have 5 years left, so I doubt that we will be successful, but at least we have that momentum, and we're hoping that the One Digital Health working group will be able to accelerate some of this progress. This is what I call the measles map. Now, in America, that's particularly pertinent because of the decrease of vaccination, and you see the rise in measles. But this is my measles map, where our experts are located in the world. So much for OSH Forum. It is to understand, advise, and operationalize. The OEGH, the One Europe for Global Health Coalition, is there to compile and communicate to policymakers, to enterprise, to finance, to civil society, to politicians. The idea is, if you can come up with simple messages that you can give to children in the lower grades of school, you will be able to communicate with politicians and they will understand. Now, when I say that to politicians, they have a big smile. They're not offended. They said, "You are so right. We have so much that we have to retain. We need simple messages to get them across to the people that we are interacting with." And so we are actually very active in this area. We try to share not only the love, but many other things in order to get this message across. And in so doing, it started with the French government asking the foundation, Benoît Meribel, if we would consider coming up with recommendations on how to strengthen the European Health Union. And the working groups came up with recommendations, again, that I consolidated, and they were presented in person to the ministers of health of the 27 member states of Europe in Grenoble in 2022 by Benoît Meribel and a dear friend, Ole Peter Ottersen, who was then rector of the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm, the people who give the Nobel Prize. And we went then, essentially, we said, during the European, the way the European Union is organized, they have the European Council, the presidency goes from one member state to another, boom, 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 every 6 months. So we said, we will go to try and carry the word from each of the member states that is as in the presidency, listen to what they have to say and share what we have learned from the others. And so that's the title of the talk, Listening to and Implementing. And so we've gone to the Czech Republic, in Sweden, Spain, Europe, Brussels, and Hungary. Actually, let me just give you the list. So far, that's where we are right now. The next one is Cyprus, Ireland, Lithuania, Greece, etc. It's being lined up. The idea is just to be able to get the message across and listen to what your priority is and their priorities are. And as was said in the introduction, that was an excellent introduction. With the information I gave you, I don't know how maybe it was internet, no? Excellent, excellent. Towards a World Network, all of this work has come up with the realization that there are people around the world that are working on these topics, but they don't know it. They didn't call it that. They called it climate change, they call it urban planning, they call it something, ecosystem, remediation, you name it. There are many different words. And so we thought there is a way of bringing people together and making them feel that they are part of something much bigger than themselves. And that's what I will share with you here. Essentially, the idea was to create the One Sustainable Health Institutes, a coordinating, potentially funding agency, with a network of OSH institutes in European member states and beyond, to create local and regional OSH institutes or centers within each region of the world, from civil society to government, and to leverage the commitment of support of existing, and I underline that word, public and private entities. No need to reinvent the wheel. You're already receiving financing for the actions you're doing, but now the idea is to raise the awareness to say that as what I heard yesterday, what you're doing here, bring in all the different competencies, there's different sources of funding from the different areas, and attribute it to the issue on hand. And essentially, I will stop there on this. And so what we did, we've identified leads in each of the regions that you see here, Africa, North America, Latin America and the Caribbean, West Asia, South Asia, East Asia, the Balkans. It's incredible. People who are implementing One Health in one way or another. And we had preparatory conferences for our conference in November, and each of these leads had conferences on the topic. It was absolutely incredible, and I was able to assist to many of them, again, using Zoom. That's why I asked if anybody used it, because sometimes it worked beautifully, but more often than not, there were challenges. But what we found was that One Sustainable Health, the concept, of course, is realistic, it's feasible, and people are doing it already. So we are bringing together people of like mindset for a common goal. And the idea is the training and education, innovation and research, intelligence and surveillance, and governance. Some of the concrete actions, and I'm coming to the end of my presentation, some of the concrete actions I'm going to share very rapidly of the international working groups, IWG 9, which is the One Health in Humanitarian Settings, and IWG 5 of Finance, our network members, the Center for One Health, the Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, Professor Utpal Tatu, and thank you, Utpal. I am here because of his initiative. And I say thank you because I think it was a brilliant idea to bring us together with regard to what I'm seeing here, what I saw here already yesterday. Fiocruz, which is a major institute in Latin America, and one of our strategic partners, the Veolia Foundation. So just to give you two examples, we've had the finance group that came up with a brief on blended financing. They actually have written 4 different articles. I'm just showing you one of them. Blended financing means in the days that we are now living, the beginning of last year, we heard that the United States is making itself, wait, is that supposed to be great again? I'm not sure. But let's say whatever they're doing, they are no longer being generous with American taxpayers' money, helping the rest of the world to rise above the challenges. And that means that we have to be innovative in the way we are financing. Resilience, yes, it comes from within, but it also helps to have money that can be directed towards making things happen. So we have to figure out ways of financing, mixing the public and private financing. Can we make it traceable? In Africa, perhaps in India as well. There are issues about corruption, walking around with suitcases full of cash. Can we use blockchain technology to address this? Well, there's one entity called Send.Social that is actually doing it. Not only do they trace the money from private and public, but they also trace the outcome, and it's all linked. So there are ideas, there are projects associated with this to make it go forward. And similarly with One Health in the humanitarian settings, it's extremely important when a refugee camp gets set up because of a disaster, a flood, or other issues, strife. There's a process that actually occurs, and one of the first things to organize is the waste, the water. I think they call it WASH. And again, there are processes that are involving all facets of the One Health approach. Now, we had our meeting, we have annual meetings. One was in 2023, then 2024 was in Senegal, and 2025 was back in Lyon. And it's what you see here on the left. And I, of course, will give this presentation, but it's Healthy Planet for Healthy Life. And what you see there are the regional priorities. We asked all of the regions to state what their priorities are. Now, that is in this book. It's actually also available online, but with your phones, you can zap, flash that, and it'll take you to the reports that were written by the individual groups. Whoops. One of our partners, Utpal Tatu at the India Institute of Science, has a very interesting project, which is a One Health village. And what you see here is the perimeter of this village, where they have livestock, chickens, pigs, goats. They have a residential area, they have a healthcare center, a veterinary center, and they also have a quarry, a lake, a pond, agricultural land, and solid waste, and perhaps even toxic waste. And the idea is to use this as a pilot site for digitalization, to inform and engage citizens, to identify parameters, gather and validate data, analyze that data. Very important. Your analysis will only be as good as the quality of your data and the granularity of your data. To make a digital twin. Why? Well, to model impacts, to help in policy development, and more. Utpal came to Lyon and gave the presentation to the people here, and he's next to Zhu Yongguan from the Research Center for Eco-Environmental Sciences of the Chinese Academy of Science, who is also a very strong supporter here, and you can see the different presentations. And finally, one of our partners, our strategic partners, Veolia Foundation, have just voted a support here in India, which is a mobile medical unit to strengthen the health of the rural populations. And what they have is, and they do this in collaboration with the Woodcart Foundation, which is an Indian foundation. They have a mobile clinic to go to different villages to offer on a regular basis at the same time of the week, same days, essentially free consultations. And they expect to touch 20,000 patients per year, and 40,000 in direct impacts. And again, this is for them their way of giving back and supporting, and here's just an image that they shared. So I believe I want to say thank you to all of our partners who are indicated here, as well as the Frontiers Research Foundation, who have offered coordinators to our different international working groups. And these are some of our member organizations who are participating in this. And the idea, as you can imagine, is to get everybody rowing in the same direction. Thank you very much. Nice talk. Do we answer questions? I'm good? Oh, fantastic.
Thank you, Professor Rudkin, for a deeply insightful keynote that powerfully highlighted the interdependence of human and environmental health and the urgent need for one sustainable health and global health approaches driven by civil society. Your address aligns seamlessly with the core theme of ICR 2026, linking resilience with a collaborative action for a sustainable future. Atithi Devo Bhava, and our Indian tradition teaches us to treat our guests with the highest respect. To convey a gesture of honor, I request Srimati Tejal Amin, Chairperson, Navrachna Education Society and Board of Management, Navrachna University, to felicitate the keynote speaker, Dr. Brian B. Rudkin. I also invite Professor Pratyush Shankar to join her. All stalls have been specially crafted for ICR 2026 at the Bodhi Studio Workshop by Pradeep and Mala Sinha. This pure cotton stole was hand-woven by the master weaver clusters of Fulia, West Bengal. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Rudkin, for graciously accepting our token of appreciation. We once again express our sincere gratitude for your valuable contribution to ICR 2026. It is now my honor to invite our distinguished French delegate, Professor Nicolas Gascoigne, Deputy Counselor for Cooperation and Cultural Affairs at the French Embassy in Delhi. With over 2 decades of scientific expertise and extensive experience in Indo-French academic collaboration, Professor Gascoigne brings a unique perspective at the intersection of science, innovation, and international cooperation. May I request Professor Gascoigne to address the gathering on the topic, Franco-Indian Cooperation Perspectives on Resilience and Tools to Support Collaborative Prospects. Please, sir.
Thank you very much. So, in the name of His Excellency Ambassador of France, Dr. Thierry Matou, in the name of our Counselor for Cooperation and Cultural Action, Gregor Tumel, I'm very honored that France is invited to close this inaugural session. So we are very happy and thankful to Mrs. Chairman Tejalamin from Navrachna University. And we are very happy, very glad that our French colleague, Brian, was invited to open this inaugural session on resilience. He demonstrated the strong effort that France and all his partners around the world, and specifically India, are doing in terms of resilience. So he mentioned about the Fondation Mérieux, and maybe you know also that the BioMérieux is doing a One Health project on antibiotic resistance. So we have a lot of activities in the field of resilience. And so for this reason, we are very happy to join you today, because you know that France and India have a strategic partnership that they renew in 2023 up to the horizon 2047. And this strategic partnership, you know, is very rare, because France has not so many strategic partnerships, and the one with India is very strong. And similarly for India, we know that France has a very particular place. So this strategic partnership has 3 pillars. The first one is about sovereignty and security, and this falls completely in the field of resilience. The second one is about sustainable climate and energy. So again, it's about resilience. And the third pillar is about the human exchanges, people to people. That's the reason why we are here. So that truly makes sense to have France to be invited as keynote in this international conference, because it falls completely in the scope of our strategic partnership between India and France. And in order to support this strategic partnership, we have different tools. And one I would like to highlight more specifically, because it's turning 40 years this year, it's the CEFIPRA. CEFIPRA is a funding agency, half funded by India, half funded by France, since 40 years. And for this year, there will be massive events. So calls are now open, so you can apply for funding. And this in this year of innovation, 2026, which was decided by Prime Minister Modi ji together with President Macron 2 years ago, there will be a lot of events under the CEFIPRA actions, aegis. And the President Macron will be coming next month with the Prime Minister Modi ji to open this year of innovation. It will be in Mumbai. There will be a big event of 5,000 people, so you are welcome to join this event. And then there will be an event in Delhi with university and research people. So the year of innovation will be a good opportunity to highlight resilience through different seminars that are under planning together with you by CEFIPRA entity. So I will not be more longer, because I'm sure you'd like to have a cup of coffee. So again, France is very thankful to Navrachna University, to all distinguished guests, that we will continue to follow up and continue the discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Gascoigne, for your insightful address and for strengthening the spirit of Indo-French academic collaboration through your presence at the ICR 2026. As a token of our appreciation, I now request Professor Pratyush Shankar, Provost, Navrachna University, and Professor Sandeep Vasant, Registrar, Navrachna University, to kindly come forward for the felicitation of Professor Nicholas Gascoigne. Thank you to all our esteemed speakers and distinguished guests for their invaluable presence and contribution, which have truly enriched the inaugural session of the International Conference on Resilience. To formally conclude the inaugural, I now invite Dr. Darshi Bakshi, Conference Convener, ICR 2026, to propose the vote of thanks.
On behalf of the organizing committee, it's my privilege to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks to our keynote speaker, Dr. Brian Rutkin, for your insightful perspectives and depth of knowledge that have illuminated new pathways of thought for all of us. The clarity with which you have given us complex ideas to simple forms is definitely going to be the discussion for the next few days. We are thankful to you for having accepted our invitation and allowing us to host you at NUV. This would not have been possible without Professor Utpal Tatu, sir, who has been the main link for bringing the keynote here. We thank you, sir, for bringing Dr. Brian here to NUV. I would also like to thank Professor Nicolas Gascoigne, who has given insights to the Indo-French avenues, and we look forward to more collaborative partnerships and meaningful discussions after the session. It would not have been possible without the new dialogue and collaborative exchanges and all the different thoughts that have come across in the inaugural session today. And therefore, we would also like to thank Dr. Philip Morin for his presence here and Sujit Nair for coordinating this part of the French delegation. We are also heartfelt thanks I would like to convey to our title sponsors, the Desai Enterprises, both of them who have their gracious presence here, the Heritage Trust, Gujarat Ecological Society, Council of Architecture, Institute of Urban Designers India, all of whom are our knowledge partners. Last but not the least, I thank all the esteemed guest speakers, delegates, and colleagues for their presence for this important inaugural session, and we look forward to some interesting exchanges during the 2 days of the conference. We shall now proceed to a short break. After the break, the session shall be divided into 3 parallel tracks. You can refer to the schedule, which is shared in the kit, and I shall also request all the participating presenters who have their oral presentations to kindly submit their presentations in the respective tracks. And post that, we will again break for lunch, followed by another keynote session. Thank you one and all. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you. We shall gather for a group photo now. Thank you.
Yes. So thank you everyone. May I kindly request all the respected dignitaries to join us for the group photograph as we capture this memorable beginning together. Thank you everyone. Have a wonderful day. We wish you an engaging, insightful, and enriching experience ahead. For all the paper presenters, as Darshi ma'am already mentioned, you are requested to go to your allocated technical session rooms during the lunch break or the tea break to upload your presentations.